Iran's Khamenei resurfaces to warn against future U.S. attacks in first statement since ceasefire Dubai. United Arab Emirates AP, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei said on Thursday his counter had delivered a slap to America's face with its strike on a U.S. air base in Qatar and warned against any further attacks in his first public comments since a ceasefire was declared with Israel after 12 days of war. Khamenei spoke in a recorded video broadcast on Iranian state television, his first appearance since June 19th. The 86-year-old, a skilled orator known for his forceful addresses to the country's more than 90 million people, appeared and sounded more tired than he had just a week ago, speaking in a hoarse voice and occasionally stumbling over his words. The speech, which went on for more than 10 minutes, was filled with warnings and threats directed toward the United States and Israel, the Islamic Republic's longtime adversaries. The supreme leader downplayed Sunday's U.S. strikes on 3 Iranian nuclear sites using bunker-buster bombs and cruise missiles, saying that U.S. President Donald Trump, who said the attack completely and fully obliterated Iran's nuclear program, had exaggerated its impact. They could not achieve anything significant, Khamenei said. Missing from his video message was any mention of Iran's nuclear program and the status of their facilities and centrifuges following extensive U.S. and Israeli strikes. His characterization of Monday's strike on the U.S. air base in Qatar contrasted with U.S. accounts of it as a limited attack with no casualties. UN nuclear watchdog confirms damage to Iran. Citis, head of the UN nuclear watchdog, International Atomic Energy Agency Director Rafael Grossi, reiterated on Thursday that the damage done by Israeli and U.S. strikes at Iranian nuclear facilities is very considerable. I think annihilated is too much, but it suffered enormous damage, Grossi told French broadcaster RFI. Iran's foreign ministry spokesman, Esmail Baghai, on Wednesday also conceded that our nuclear installations have been badly damaged. That's for sure. Khamenei has not been seen in public since taking shelter in a secret location after the outbreak of the war on June 13 when Israel attacked Iranian nuclear facilities and targeted top military commanders and scientists. Following Sunday's U.S. attack on Iran's nuclear facilities, Trump was able to help negotiate a ceasefire that came into effect on Tuesday. Iranian leader warns U.S. against further attacks. Khamenei claimed the U.S. had only intervened in the war because it felt that if it did not intervene, the Zionist regime would be utterly destroyed. It entered the war to save them, yet it gained nothing, he said. He said his country's attack on the U.S. base in Qatar on Monday was significant, since it shows Iran has access to important U.S. centers in the region and can act against them whenever it deems necessary. The Islamic Republic was victorious and, in retaliation, delivered a hand slap to America's face, he said, adding, "This action can be repeated in the future. Should any aggression occur, the enemy will definitely pay a heavy price," he said. Trump has dismissed the Monday retaliatory attack as a very weak response, saying that the U.S. had been warned by Iran in advance and stressing that there had been no casualties. Since the ceasefire, life has been gradually returning to normal in Iran. On Thursday, Iran partially reopened its airspace, which had been shut down since the war began, and shops in Tehran's capital began to reopen, with traffic returning to the streets. With the ceasefire, life slowly returns to normal in Iran. Majid Akhavan, spokesperson for the Ministry of Roads and Urban Development, said Iran had reopened its airspace for the eastern half of the country to domestic and international flights, including those transiting Iranian airspace. Earlier this week, Tehran said 606 people had been killed in the conflict in Iran, with 5,330 people wounded. The Washington-based human rights activists group released figures Wednesday suggesting Israeli strikes on Iran had killed at least 1,054 and wounded 4,476. The group, which has provided detailed casualty figures from multiple rounds of unrest in Iran, said 417 of those killed were civilians and 318 were security forces. At least 28 people were killed in Israel and more than 1,000 wounded, according to officials there. During the 12-day war, Iran fired more than 550 missiles at Israel with a 90% interception rate, according to new statistics released by Israeli authorities on Thursday. Israel, meantime, hit more than 720 Iranian military infrastructure targets in 8 nuclear-related sites, Israel said. Trump has also asserted that American and Iranian officials will talk next week, giving rise to cautious hope for longer-term peace. Iran has not acknowledged that any such talks would take place, though U.S. Mideast envoy Steve Witkoff has said there has been direct and indirect communication between the countries. A 6th round of U.S.-Iran negotiations was scheduled for earlier this month in Oman but was cancelled after Israel attacked Iran on June 13. Iran has insisted that it will not give up its nuclear program. In a vote underscoring the tough path ahead, its parliament agreed Wednesday to fast-track a proposal that would effectively stop the country's cooperation with the IAEA, which has monitored the program for years.